Hi there, 8th graders. Hope everything went well yesterday on your homework. Today we're going to be doing something pretty similar to what we did yesterday, only um, kind of solving for x squared a little bit, or x, I guess. So, 1.93 equations with exponents. We're getting more straight up into algebra, um, which is awesome because I like algebra more. But the other part of it is I mean, you guys have learned some of this, but we might be getting to more of the stuff that you haven't seen. And I also like the focal point on it because of the fact that next year you're going to see a lot of it. So that's why I really, really want you guys to have a good understanding of this. Uh, so 1.93 is equations with exponents. Your objectives: solve equations involving exponents by taking roots of both sides of the equation. Exactly what we're going to do. We're going to end up taking square roots today. Choose the solutions that make sense in the context of the problem when two or more solutions are possible. So, that's basically just saying that we might want to check ourselves a little bit to see if it would work with both of them. And we might do that on the first one, maybe. Okay. Quadratic equation is an equation containing a variable with an exponent of 2 but no greater exponents. So, to be a quadratic, you have to be to the second power, but it must not have anything above a second power. It must not be to the third, it must not be to the fourth, and so on. It has to be to the second power. Okay. So, getting into more of today's lesson, actually. 2x to the second is what this is saying, plus 7 equals 25. Okay? This is just like what you guys have been doing really in the past, and some of you struggle with it, some of you guys do pretty good with it. But, it is what it is, I guess. I have nothing against that. I just think we need to maybe focus a little bit more on it. Here we have plus 7. So what you want to first do is start thinking about how you can isolate x. Well, the easiest thing to do right here is minus 7 to the other side. Minus 7. Okay, we get 2x to the second equals, subtract that, you're going to take 5, so it's 18. That makes sense, right? Okay, now the only other thing we can do is divide by 2. Divide by 2. You get x to the second equals 9. Okay? Now, this is where we've been getting to, only we'd have x equals 9 typically. But we're still squared. To get rid of this, we must square root this side. What we do to one side, we must do to the other. Now, the one thing about square rooting, this side must be plus or minus square root of 9 then. Whenever you square root this side, you have to make it plus or minus. So, this would actually be x equals plus or minus the square root of 9. Well, can we square root 9? Yes, we can get 3. So, x equals plus or minus 3. What this plus or minus is telling us is that we can sub in 3, we can sub in negative 3. Okay? Now, and then I'm going to definitely do this because it brings up a valid point of some things I've told you before. So we're subbing in for x. So I'm going to put x, the number I'm putting in for x, in parentheses. So this is squared plus 7 equals 25. One reason that I'm putting it in parentheses is when we do the negative, that's going to keep that negative inside and not in front of. And also the fact that if you listen to your order of operations, you should do, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, which parentheses would come first, but exponents are there too. So that just really kind of emphasizes to me. So we got 2, 3 to the second would be 9 plus 7 equals 25. That would be 18. 18 plus 7 equals 25, and that is correct. That would equal 25. So, positive 3 did work. How about if we do a negative? Now, this is why I wanted the parentheses, and this is why I really wanted to do this problem with you. Is the fact that this the negative 3, we're subbing it in for x, so that negative has to stay with that. Well, if you went and typed this into your calculator and you didn't put parentheses around it, the negative would go out front and you'd end up with the wrong answer. So these parentheses are really important when you're subbing in for something, because of the fact that you got to keep this, because that's what x actually equals, is the negative 3, not just a 3. In this case, so you square negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. 2 times 9 plus 7 equals 25. 2 times 9 is 18 plus 7 equals 25. So 25 equals 25. That makes sense, right? So, trying to think. I want to make some notes possibly, just in case some of you don't watch the video. Sorry, I want to make sure I spelled that right. Just to double check, since I made a mistake on the last one. Okay, now this one, you have 2x to the second equals 16. So you just have 2x to the second equals 16. Okay, so this one we don't have to add and subtract anything, because obviously what we want to do is get x by itself. Well, we're multiplying by 2, so we got to do the opposite, which is divide by 2. Divide by 2, x to the second equals 8. Okay, square root both sides, so you have the plus or minus, and so we have x equals plus or minus the square root of 8. Now, some of you guys are going to be like, well, that isn't a perfect square. You're right, it isn't. But we can still simplify this some. We can go 4 and 2 here. Well, 4 is a perfect square root, so if I take the square root of 4, I'm going to get 2 square root 2, because I can't do anything with the 2, correct? So we're going to get x equals, I almost forgot my plus or minus, the square root of 2. So, and now that I had to squeak that in there, it don't look very good. Okay. So that's what that one would be. Okay. Okay, now the rectangulars are similar. Find x by solving this proportion. Solve 9 over, so really what you got going on here is 9x equals x over 16. Once again, not my favorite way with this Google Slides, but hey, we'll make it work. Don't forget cross multiply when set equal to each other. Okay, so cross multiply x to the second equals 16 times 9 is going to get you, let's see, 144, I would say, off the top of my head. Okay. Then we'd have to square root both sides. Square root, don't forget your plus or minus. You're going to get x equals plus or minus the square root of 144. Can we take the square root of 144? And yes, we can, because it is 12. So there would be our answer on that one. Plus or minus the square root of 12. Okay. Honestly, you guys would be shocked. You guys are kind of in the same area right now as the algebra kids on this. Okay. This one. Jamie is making a mosaic using 100 1-inch squares if the 1-inch square tiles. If the shape of this mosaic is to be square, how long would each side be? So let's just draw this out, and we want a square, right? So whatever we're gonna have to find the area of the square, we're going to have x times x. Okay, so multiply. Okay, so I kind of made some good notes there on the side for you. So create a square, length, and of course, in my quick scribbling, I spelled that wrong. Have to be equal. Find the area x squared, or x times x equals 100. Well, multiply that together once again, just like I've been talking to you guys before. You have x and x, and they're both to the first power. So when you multiply, you add the exponents, and that's going to equal 100. Now, square root, plus or minus in front of this one, you get x equals plus or minus the square root of 100. 100 works out, it is a perfect square, so we get plus or minus 10. Now, one thing about it, let's think about this in a logical manner. When you are looking at this, can you have a negative length? Can I have a negative, let's say, 10 inches here? No. So 10 inches would be my answer. And hopefully I got all that. So you guys understand that? Honestly, I think I'm going to be a little nice today. We're told as teachers maybe to cut back a little bit. I think I'm going to somewhat cut back and focus more on this part. And I thought about doing it last section, but you would have had about the same amount of problems. So I'm going to say, instead of this, we're going to do practice set A through G. Should only be about 7 problems. And that's on page 626. So I'll be nice and maybe cut back a little bit for you on that one. So, once again, something you're going to see in algebra. Hope you understand it. If you have questions, reach out to me. I want you to have a good understanding of it, because right now my big focus is not on how you guys do necessarily in the grade book, but hopefully that you get something out of this so that we can continue to grow for next year. And I guess that should always be my goal, but I guess this time has put me more on the emphasis of hoping that you guys get something more for next year than honestly uh, usual, because of the fact that's what I've been emphasizing in my thought process because of this situation. Have a good day.